What's going on, guys? My name is Rob, also known as Checked Out. Today we're going to be talking about the madness that is happening on the Nike mobile app starting next week. Well, technically it started this week on the 27th because they dropped Panda Highs, men's, women, and grade school. But it's really going to start getting crazy next week, starting on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We have absolutely packed days. So I'm going to be breaking down every single thing that is dropping and what you should focus on and what you should be trying to cop. This is definitely going to be a good one. We have Panda Dunk Lows, Jordan 1 Lows, Brooklyn Net Dunks, and the infamous Dunk Low Harvest Moon is finally dropping. So let's get into all these SKUs dropping. And just want to say, if you guys are new here and you're interested in getting into sneaker botting, definitely check out the links below. I offer A, how to reselling class, B, you can join my cook group down there, as well as C, you can learn how to sneaker bot. All the information is down below. Also, for you longtime viewers, just created a whole new website from scratch, by the way. So definitely check that out if you are new and let me know what you guys think. But let's get into this Nike madness. All right, so let's just break down the basics. First off, this is not happening on the sneakers app. This is only happening on the Nike mobile app, this one right here. Again, these are all happening at 10 a.m. Eastern, only going to be open for a 2-minute draw. So more likely than not, you're not going to be able to enter for all of them, as you only have 2 minutes to enter for 5+ SKUs. So really make sure you prioritize the shoes that you really want, such as like Pandas, Harvest Moons, etc. Don't really focus too much on the bricks. A, focus on the shoes that have high stock, and B, focus on the shoes that have the most resell. So again, Nike mobile app, 10 a.m. Eastern, that would be 9 a.m. Central, and I don't know the rest of the time zones, but 10 a.m. Eastern, only going to be open for 2 minutes for a draw. It is not first come, first serve. It is a random draw. So let's get into it. The first SKU that we're going to be talking about is the newly released Nike Reverse Panda, which is a women's shoe dropping for a retail of $100. Current resale market on this pair is very high. Again, with a retail of $100, we're seeing current resale prices like floating, well, it's kind of spotty, but for the most part between $220 and $300, which is a very wide gap. This is pre-release, so we're expecting to see that. So we have like some bigger sizes like 10W 328 compared to some smaller sizes like 7W, which is at 227. But we can most definitely expect prices to settle on these at least 200 plus, in my opinion. And this is a new SKU, so I'm hoping that stock is going to be fairly good on this. We should, fingers crossed, hopefully see a lot of W's on this one. So definitely make this one a priority. And remember, this is day 1 of drops, so February 2nd, day 1. Next up for February 2nd, we have Brooklyn Net Dunks in the men's sizing dropping for a retail of $100. This is a restocked pair, so that it has dropped multiple times. Aftermarkets have definitely rose since they originally released, with most sizes being around 180 plus, which is making this shoe a very good one to flip. So definitely don't forget about this pair too. This should be a priority. You guys should definitely be trying to cop this one. Next up, again on February 2nd, we have what I believe is a new SKU. I don't think these have dropped. It's another women's dunk, and this is called the Dunk Low Light Violet. This one will be retailing again for $100, and current market prices are around 180 plus. I personally think that these are going to go a little bit higher since this is a very clean colorway, and it bears a very good resemblance to the Photon Dunks, just with a very subtle hint of purple. So definitely a good shoe. I personally think this is a little bit on the undervalued side. So if you do cop this, definitely consider holding. If not, you can sell and probably still make $100 profit easily. Again, another SKU that is a must cop. So add this one to the list. Next, again, another women's dunk. We finally have the Dunk Low Harvest Moon dropping for another retail of $100. Market on these is around 190 plus, typically most around 200 plus. And even then, bigger sizes are doing a lot better, with the biggest sizes touching close to 300. So again, another SKU not to sleep on, guys. Personally, this is a really cool colorway. I really like it. It reminds me of the Curry Dunks that released a long time ago, which are absolutely mooning right now. So again, the Harvest Moons are definitely a shoe to cop. Then, of course, restocking in the men's for $100, we have the Panda Dunk Lows, which we have seen restock many times, and it is here again. And resale market doesn't really change on this one, as we see typically most sizes sitting around 250 and are pretty close to 300. Then again, we have the women Panda Dunks dropping as well for another retail of $100, and market on these is a little bit lower, close to 220 plus, but still great profit to be had. Then lastly, the shoe that you guys should probably skip out on is the Dunk High Sports Specialties with a retail of 110 and a average resale of 130. These are kind of brick, so you should probably pass up on these and focus your time elsewhere, because again, you only have 2 minutes to enter for all of these profitable SKUs. So I know that's a lot. Expect the app to be slow. You're probably not going to be able to enter as many entries as you'd like. My advice is have 2 phones. I wouldn't really try for 3 phones. I would use 2 phones side by side, Face ID on both of them, and just go ham. Face ID left and right, left and right. Try to enter as many times as you can for each SKU. But don't be discouraged if you end up missing one, guys. You're not going to be the only one. I'm probably going to forget to enter one. There's so many dropping, and you only have so much time to do so. All right, so now let's start off with day 2, February 3rd. This is a lot less important than the first day, February 2nd, but February 3rd definitely still has some profitable shoes that you should be entering for, but it has a lot more bricks that you can pass on. Starting off the list, again on February 3rd, we have this new dunk. I'm going to put the image up on screen. For some reason, I can't find it on StockX right now. I searched up the SKU, I searched up the name, it's not there. It's probably on GOAT, but I expect prices to be inflated. And to be honest, this colorway is a little bit off, and I personally don't think that it's going to have that great of a resale value. If it was on StockX, I would just show you guys, but I can't really seem to find any information on it. As of right now, I would say pass on it, but if the SKU does get posted to StockX and you guys do find it to be profitable, then definitely go for it. I'm posting this about a week early, so you guys have plenty of time to do some research. But for now, strong pass. Next up, we have the Dunk Low Pink Violet retailing for $95. This is a grade school pair, and this is definitely 100% a cop. It is a very clean colorway, has a current resale of around 180 to 190 plus. Very safe shoe to go for. Definitely prioritize this one, as this shoe is an easy mover and is worth a lot. We also have the Brooklyn Nets grade school pair dropping for a retail of $85. This is doing decent on aftermarkets with the current resale around 135 and up, with the 7Y at 150. So definitely plenty of room for profit, just not as profitable as some other pairs, but still you can make easy money on this. So prioritize this one as well. And of course, bigger sizes in this one will do the best. The Brooklyn Nets is also dropping in toddler and preschool sizing, but definitely sleep on those. Unless you have personal buyers, I don't think there's much profit to be made on them. So they are added on the drop day, but just pass them and focus on something else. Also, another brick dropping, we have the Dunk High All-Star Dunk, but in the preschool sizing. Definitely don't cop this. There's little resale on this, if any. I'm pretty sure it just goes for retail. Definitely pass up on it unless you have a personal buyer. Don't focus on this. Also dropping on the 3rd, we have the Dunk Low Crazy Camo dropping in the grade school sizing for a retail of $95. Aftermarket is pretty good with bigger sizes starting from 5 and up. 5Y is at 175, so that's crazy. That's almost $100 profit on this shoe, which I slept on back in the day when they dropped. So it's kind of cool that these increased as much as they did. I remember I had to pass up a pair because it was deep from when I was picking up my other pairs, but yeah, it's looking like this is going to be a pretty safe cop on the Nike app. Market may brick on these after the release, depending on how much stock they have. But as always, Nike has free returns, so there's really no risk when it comes to buying, because if it doesn't work out, you can just return it within 30 days, I believe. So definitely add this one to the list. And finally, the last SKU for this day, we have the grade school Dunk Low Signal Blue Lemon Twist retailing for $95 and currently has very little resale. If you were to cop, I'd say stick to bigger sizes like 6 to 7Y, as those are between 110 and 120. Again, not really worth your time in my opinion, and just kind of based on how they look, I kind of don't think there's going to increase in price, as the colors are just kind of off. It definitely does have the Panda resemblance, which is the only good thing going for it. The other colors are just kind of not it. So only cop if you can move locally, but if you're an app seller, I would pass on these as there's no profit to be made. And then moving on to the last day, February 4th, again, 10 a.m. Eastern on the Nike app. We have some hotter releases, starting off women's Jordan 1 mid Gray Fog, which is going to retail for $120. And you guys know how women's mid do, especially in the gray colorway. We can see most sizes around 220 plus, with an 8.5 at 255 on StockX. Definitely make sure to prioritize this SKU, as it's going to be one of the most profitable on the day. Then next up, dropping for another retail of $120, we have the Jordan 1 mid in the women's sizing Coconut Milk. And current resale prices are floating around 170 plus, with an 8.5 at 185. So this is a pretty decent cop, I would say. Definitely has some profit to be made. Definitely has a lot of potential, because it does resemble the other mids that we just covered, the Gray Fog mids. So this might actually be a not too bad investment to make to buy up pairs aftermarket, and maybe this will see an increase over time. But for now, pairs are floating around 180, probably gonna drop like maybe $10. I don't see it dropping too far because this is a pretty good colorway and it's very easy to pull off from what it looks like. So this is definitely a must cop, so make sure to prioritize this one as well. Next up, we have a Jordan 1 High Zoom Air Comfort Olive Aurora dropping in the women's sizing yet again. This is a pretty interesting colorway. Resale market is kind of all over the place, but from what it looks like, an average of like 170 plus. I'm not too sure if that's going to hold, as this also does have a retail of $140, so it's a little bit more of a buy-in. But I don't know, size 8.5 right now on StockX is $290, so I'm thinking that's just because this shoe has not dropped yet, and whoever has it is like the only person in the market and is definitely skewing the price. So this is definitely on the riskier side of copping, but like I said, Nike does offer free returns, so it's up to you. This could go either way. It could be a complete brick, or it could have some decent value on the resale market. Wouldn't necessarily prioritize this over some of the other SKUs, but definitely enter it if you find yourself having extra time after. Next up, we have an absolute beast of a shoe retailing for $110. We have the Jordan 1 Low Mighty Swooshers, which is the first men's pair we are going to be seeing on the day, with resale looking like at the lowest $270 plus. So that's almost a $200 profit per pair on this shoe. So this is definitely a must cop. All sizes will be profitable. Definitely focus this one above any of the other ones. I expect stock is going to be pretty low, as this is a pretty unique and limited pair. I remember when they first dropped, stock was basically non-existent. So definitely enter this, but don't get your hopes up. That's why market's so high, because it's a nice looking shoe and there was literally such non-existent stock. Next up, we have the Jordan 1 Low Team Red dropping in the women's sizing again. Resale market is looking like it is 170 plus in those bigger sizes. I see a size 7.5, 8, 8.5 are sitting at around 220 plus on StockX. So definitely a good pair to go for. With the low retail of $100, there's plenty of profit to be made across all sizes. So definitely focus this one. Try to pick up as many as you can. Well, realistically, you're only going to get one, but definitely don't sleep on this one. I remember when these first started dropping in store, they were pretty brickish, but it looks like it finally appreciated to its value, and I don't really see market going anywhere, so definitely prioritize this SKU. And finally, our last SKU for February 4th, we have the Jordan 1 Low SE Twine Orange Quartz Corduroy dropping in the women's sizing. Now that was an absolute mouthful, but this one's going to be retailing for $110, and market's kind of all over the place. It's looking like the best sizes to cop are definitely 7 to 12, which is the most common sizes. So I personally wouldn't enter for 5 to 6.5, as market's floating around 140 and below, whereas starting from 7 and really 7.5, 7.5 is at 170. We see 8.5 at 180, 9.5 190, and so on. So it's looking like bigger sizes are definitely doing numbers, with a 12Ws at 243, which is kind of opposite of the trend that we normally see. But I wouldn't necessarily prioritize this. I would just make sure to enter it if you have extra time. You should be definitely investing into the safer investment, as I'm not too sure how many people like corduroy on their shoes. But like I always say, free returns. So that was definitely a long one, but this kind of information needs to get out a few days beforehand. So I'm going to be grinding, make sure that I edit this and get it out there so you guys can get all the information that you need. And hopefully it works out for you guys. Like I said, Nike does offer that free return policy, so most of these are pretty safe to cop, because if you can't sell it, you just return it. But most of the SKUs that I did mention, you are able to sell on apps for profit, so really very little risk. But yeah, that's about all I got for tonight. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Link in bio if you want to see my cook group, my reselling class, and my bonding class. All that stuff is down below, and have a good night.